So congratulations, guys. You got a home under contract. What's next?
Home inspection. Stay tuned to the end, guys, to find out what goes on and why you need to have a home inspection.
So we are here at a house that some of our buyers actually have gotten under contract here recently. About to do the inspection with one of our preferred inspectors, Brian with Journey Homes.
Yeah, so in this video, we are going to be taking a look at why you should have an inspection, what to look out for when it comes to having an inspection, and then also why you shouldn't panic when you see an 80-page inspection report.
It can be a little overwhelming, so we're gonna go through and kind of break that down, just to kind of help you guys with that process. All right, guys, so we are here with Brian with Journey Home Inspections. So we're gonna be going through, like we talked about a little earlier, kind of going through the home inspection process. So, kind of one of the first things is, why do you get a home inspection?
It's protection. It's keeping people honest. It's keeping builders for new construction homes or sellers honest of, hey, this is what you are buying and this is the condition of what you're buying.
That's why I always warn people, because seller's disclosure. Everybody always asks, oh, can I get the seller's disclosure? Because that's gonna tell me everything I need to know about the home. It's like, yeah, that's great, but how many owners really know the true condition of their home compared to what you're going through whenever you see an inspection?
They don't. They don't. And how long is the seller's disclosure?
Oh, 4 pages.
Maybe?
Yeah.
And it's got a couple things.
Unknown, and that's about it. Yeah, that's what you're left with. Yeah. So, David, like first-time home buyers, what's some of the biggest issues you see with first-time home buyers?
They just don't really know what to look for. I mean, for yourself, what would you say the big things that buyers have to look out for on inspection?
Yeah, I mean, here in North Texas, people are always concerned about the foundation, especially out-of-state folks, first-time home buyers. They're always freaking out because they hear horrible things about our foundation. So roofs, another big one because of our weather-related events, right?
Yep.
Electrical, plumbing, but probably another really big one up there with the top 3 are HVAC. Because
especially in Texas,
it's going to be 110 here in a couple months, and you want your air conditioner working during that time.
You don't want it to be 85 in the house?
Yeah. I mean, unless you really want to. But then if you don't, so those are the big 5, the foundation, roof, heating, air conditioning, ventilation, plumbing, electrical. Electrical is always a big one because it's safety concerns. And people get stumped up a lot on that with safety concerns, and what I mean by that is building standards. Some folks call it code and whatnot. And the way I inspect a house, I inspect it as it's built by today's standards. So it doesn't matter if it's a 1904, I'm looking at that 1904 as it was built in 2024. No other way.
Right. What issues does that bring up for a lot of first-time home buyers? That's one we get a lot of times where I have to come back to you and go, they're freaking out right now. This inspection report is 50 pages long, and it's like, so kind of tell people a little bit about the coding and how much of that ends up. What percentage of an inspection report do you say would be coding related issues?
Percentage, maybe 20%.
Okay.
Right off the top. But it also depends on the house.
And more based on the age of the home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the older the home is, probably the more coding stuff you're going to have there.
And so we always try to talk to folks about, per today's building standards, this is deficient. It's a lot easier to go back to Mr. and Mrs. Seller and talk to them about, hey, the foundation is damaged, it needs to be repaired.
Yeah.
Or there's, missing roof shingles all over the place or something like that, versus going back to Mr. and Mrs. Seller and saying, hey, there's this thing that wasn't required to be, GFCIs. You and I talk a lot about GFCIs. Ground fault circuit, those are required to be in all of our wet areas.
Yeah.
Most homes don't have them, especially the older homes that were built.
Absolutely.
What was it, 1995-ish?
Yeah.
Like kitchens, bathrooms. I mean, you have a lot of that stuff has changed. So you look at especially first-time home buyers. If you're looking at older homes and those, lower price points, they're going to be built in 70s, 80s, early 90s. You're going to have a lot of those, smaller issues that aren't really. I mean, would you say those are issues or just kind of?
Yeah, you need to understand this is what you're buying, the age of it. The inspection report's going to be long because there's just going to be a lot of stuff in there. Again, maybe up to about 20% of the building standards, the codes.
Yeah.
and then the rest of the deficiencies and stuff like that. So, you know, people just need to be prepared to look at maybe a 40 or an 80 page report, because we put a lot of pictures in there.
Yeah.
And we're talking about everything from the foundation to the dishwasher and everything in between. So there's a lot of different things and that's what people are paying me to do.
Yeah.
Pick apart a house.
Yeah, and that's really what you want. I mean, you want this to be a top to bottom, the more detailed, the better. I mean, there's nothing worse than when we get an inspector who isn't quite as good as somebody like Brian, who we get a 5-page inspection report back and we're like, did you look at the house? Like,
exactly.
What exactly did you do for the 3 hours that you were out there? So, and I mean, so kind of along those same lines, what are some of the things that you see probably most frequently in homes here in North Texas?
I would say the biggest two are probably roof damage, just because, again, our weather-related events, and then HVAC systems, heating, air conditioning, ventilations. Air conditioners go through a brutal beating here for, 6 months out of the year?
Yeah.
Every year, year after year after year. And so, you know, whereas maybe up in the Midwest somewhere where it's not as hot.
Yeah. Or your heater might be more of an issue.
Exactly.
You know, you have one of those winter months.
Just to give them a little bit of information, what would you say is the average lifespan for the likes of the AC unit and the roofs and things like that?
Yeah, so roofs, I've heard anywhere from 5 to 7 years, you know?
we talked about this in a video just a little bit ago.
Okay.
Like, it's 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, there's no such thing as a 20 or 30 year roof. That doesn't exist.
Baseball size hail laps at a 30-year single.
Yeah.
I mean, it just says, okay, here I come.
Like an AC unit?
You know, it depends on the brand, but a lot of them, you can get upwards of 20 years. You know, I've seen, unfortunately, some of the newer stuff, though, only a few years.
Which is so wild to me, because I have seen that. I mean, my house, I had built in the 80s, and my original AC unit was like 1992 or 94.
Yeah.
And I replaced it 5 years ago. It was 20-some years old. But then I see newer homes that the HVAC unit is dead after 5 to 8.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird...
They're making them so much more efficient that they take less power to run and cool the house, but they're higher tolerances, so they wear out usually faster. Just like our newer cars. You know, you can find an old Toyota out there with, you know, 1 million miles on it versus a new one that's having some issues, you know?
Yeah.
So we hope that cleared some things up for you guys with regards to inspections. Thank you, Brian, for joining us and going through that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we're gonna link his information down below, so if you guys have any questions, or if you guys need a home inspection, even if you didn't use us, make sure you use Brian. He's a great guy.
Of course.
So if you guys like the content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one.
See ya.